What's going on, everyone? Chris Mack coming at you today with the action figure that I've had on the back burner, but we are finally getting to. This is the Marvel Legends Spider-Man Retro Collection Wave Kingpin. If you guys want to pick this awesome figure up at the time of this recording, it is available on Big Bad Toy Store. But as I always say, please first and foremost support your local comic shop or wherever you like to get your action figures and pick it up first. And as you can see, absolutely astounding. Love the old school Spider-Man action figure packaging. You can see all the accessories. Looks great. Come around to the back since there's nothing on the bottom or the tops or any of that good stuff. There are cool ways you can swap out the heads. Beautiful artwork there. There's a read-up. I'll make sure to get a close-up so you can check it out at your convenience, as well as the cool figures from this wave. Come back around to the front. And yeah, this figure is definitely worth your time. So let's bust open Wilson Fisk and get to know him a little bit better. Growing up as a poor child on the streets of New York City, Wilson Grant Fisk was mercilessly bullied by his peers due to his husky build. But it didn't break him. It forged him. Fisk trained his body relentlessly, turning pain into power. And with that strength, he began building something of his own. A gang, a reputation, a presence. That reputation caught the attention of mob boss Don Rigoletto, who brought Fisk into his organization. But Rigoletto had made a fatal mistake. He didn't see the ambition behind Fisk's eyes. And in time, Fisk made his move. Betraying his mentor, Wilson Fisk seized control, taking Rigoletto's empire, his men, and his place at the top. From that moment on, he was no longer just a man. He was a force. One of the most powerful figures in New York's criminal underworld. Powerful though he had become, even Fisk could not withstand the combined forces of the Magia and Hydra, who drove him from New York into exile in Japan. But exile was not the end. With the same relentless resolve that forged him in his youth, Fisk rebuilt, amassing wealth, reclaiming power, and preparing for his return. And when he did, he didn't just come back. He came back to take everything, reestablishing his dominance in a war that would leave the underworld in ruins. But then, along came a spider. In 1967, the Amazing Spider-Man issue 50 hit the stands. Stan Lee and John Romita Sr. introduced readers to a new kind of villain. Not a costume madman, not a superpowered threat, but a king. Wilson Fisk, the Kingpin, had already begun carving out his empire, even ordering the abduction of J. Jonah Jameson in an attempt to silence his reporting on Fisk's illicit activities. But the plan collapsed when it drew the attention of Spider-Man himself, who ultimately foiled Fisk's scheme. To avoid scrutiny, Fisk began to reshape himself in the public eye. No longer just a name whispered in back alleys, but a respected businessman, a philanthropist, a man above suspicion. And in that life, he found something unexpected. Vanessa, a woman who would become his wife. Together, they built a family, a life that, on the surface, looked like redemption. But beneath it all, the Kingpin was always waiting. When Vanessa learned the truth of Wilson Fisk, what the Kingpin had built, and what he had taken, she gave him an ultimatum: abandon the Empire or lose his family. For a moment, it seemed Fisk had found peace, leaving both crime and New York behind. Eventually, the Kingpin returned, a ruler reclaiming his throne. This time, Vanessa knew exactly what he was, and still, he chose the crown. Through empires built and lost, through prison walls, broken alliances, and endless wars with heroes like Spider-Man and Daredevil, one thing remains true. Wilson Fisk is not just a criminal. He is the gravity at the center of New York City. No matter how many times he falls, everything eventually pulls back toward him. And that's why he endures. Because in a world of masked heroes and gods walking among us, Kingpin is something more grounded. A man who refuses to stay down. And that's why this character matters. Because when you display Kingpin on the shelf, you're not just seeing a crime lord. You're seeing decades of Marvel history where power, love, loss, and vengeance all collide in one man who keeps coming back no matter what it costs him. And that is a legacy worth collecting. So with that said, let's take a closer look at the figure itself. Now, before we get into the figure itself, let's talk about the accessories that he comes with. He comes with two heads. So the first one is sort of more of a somber one, if you want more of like a professional Wilson Fisk business looking head, and I think that one is absolutely beautiful. I love all the lines for all the old man grimaces that, yes, I have as well. Mine kind of has, I don't know if yours will have the same problem, but there are a little bit of like scuffing, like with the way they tried to chip the thing out of the mold. So that's a little frustrating. So I have to actually Photoshop that out when I use this head. Those eyes, the eyebrows, skin tone looks great. And then I personally love the angry head, the blood, the black eye, and then the pop veins just out of pure anger. Skin tones match. Hey, how's it going? How's it going? Not bad. Yourself? I'm being reviewed. Shut up. Anyway, so that head sculpt's cool. He has one punching hand with the pimp pinky ring, and then he has kind of a grabbing hand so that you could put the next accessory in, which is his cane. And I love this thing. I kind of wish they made this a little more translucent, but I like that this has a sheen on it. I don't know about y'all's, but mine kind of came out bent, so I've been warming it up, trying to straighten it out. But thankfully, nonetheless, it fits relatively well in his hand, so you can just get that gangster feel of Wilson Fisk just going on. Absolutely wonderful. Paint apps, I love on the, I guess you would call this a kerchief. Is that what it's called? Yeah, kerchief has the little button there, and then the what is that thing called? That's not a cummerbund. The inside jacket thing. What is that thing called? There's a fancy word for it. It's not cummerbund or cumberbatch. But you get it. The orange matches the cartoon and the comics. The coat, I know that they have to do this for articulation, but I hate having to fix this. I wish there was a way we could get around that, kind of like Mezco, but I know that would require spending more money. Hands, veins look great. Love that you can actually see the buttons, and then the little handkerchief here is awesome. Purple pants just absolutely scream Kingpin. Not many people can rock purple, so when I see a character can do, heck yeah. And then his loafers, awesome, all around. Great, what do you call that stuff? Paint apps. Beautiful stuff all around. My only gripe, and because it is a bigger figure, is the articulation. And for those of us that have been around the Marvel Legends block more than once, we know that when it comes to larger figures, they look beautiful, they're well sculpted, but 99.9% of the time, the articulation sucks. So, as I always say, first and foremost, warm up your figures, because this guy coming out of the packaging was straight up just like a board, and I had to put him several times in front of my space heater to finally get him semi-loosey-goosey. So for the head, it's on a dumbbell joint. You can get him looked down about that much, and about that much, that way, and you get a little bit of play, so you can kind of get a little bit going on. 360, since he's not attached to the coat, arms do move, 90-degree elbows, hands do have the regular spin and twist. And unfortunately, he only spins from the solar plexus. It would have been great if they could have put one here so that you can get a more natural punching look, but, you know, whatever. Can't really, unless you use the legs, you can't really get him to bend down or back. It's things like that. Leg swivel. Butt flat, but he can actually go back further than most of the other legends. Legs can only go about that far back. About that far forward. And he does have a little bit of foot swivel. So he is limited in terms of articulation, but still, to have Wilson Fisk, the Kingpin, in our Marvel Legend collections, I'm going to give it a pass, because right now, to me, this is the definitive version of Wilson Fisk thus far. What's your definitive version, if they have released another one? I'm not sure. Let me know down in the comments. Now here's Wilson Fisk, next to some of the other street-level characters that we know from the comics. This is the Infinite Series Daredevil. This is the Man-Thing Build-A-Figure Wave Bullseye, which we will eventually go over. Same with the Marvel Legends series Punisher, which was one of the original releases. And then I have to honestly say that right now my favorite Spider-Man that I have in my collection since I bought it is the Gamerverse Spider-Man. And after looking at all the pages from the comics and then seeing the characters together like so, this is why we love to collect, because we have tangible versions of all these comic book characters that we've grown up with and just absolutely love and are part of our modern mythos. So what do you plan to do with your Marvel Legend figures, whether it be the Punisher or any other street levels like Jessica Jones or Luke Cage? Are you going to put them on shelves? Are you going to do action figure photography? Take some photos and share them with us over on the socials. We'd love to check them out. I absolutely love this figure, and I'm glad that I was able to get my hands on it, because I remember back in the day when they first announced a Kingpin figure, I was elated. I could not wait to go pick it up, only to find out at that time it was a Build-A-Figure. And I was so disappointed, because at the time there was no figures from that wave that I wanted. And I was like, I'm not going to pay $100, $200 for the bath. And so I had to sit. But when I saw that they were going to release a retro wave version, I jumped on that ASAP. And you all should as well. Minus some of the articulation aside, it is still a piece that you want if you are a fan of both Spider-Man and Daredevil more. So again, if you've enjoyed what you've seen, please first and foremost support your local comic shop or wherever you like to get your action figures and comics, and try to grab this figure. If not, you can check out the places we talked about at the beginning of the review. Speaking of, if you did enjoy this review, really would appreciate if you take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Helps the channel more than you could possibly know. And if you won't mind hitting that fancy little Kingpin bell next to subscribe, that way as I can upload content, you guys get notified. Come to the channel, and I love talking with y'all and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments or the socials, which I'll make sure the links down in the description. Speaking of, if you enjoy what I do and you'd like to support the channel, I have also left a PayPal tip jar down in the description as well. And if not, I still appreciate you checking out this video. Either way, I hope y'all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading. Photo slideshow coming up next, and happy hunting, everyone.